SJCam makes several excellent action cameras. The SJ8 Pro and SJ8 Plus are no exception, but I only think that you should buy one of them and completely skip the other. Getting straight to the point, the SJ8 Pro is the camera to buy, and the Plus is the camera to skip. Let's talk about why. From the outside, these two cameras look identical. Their body is made from the same high-quality rubberized plastic with no flex or play in the build. These cameras are super solid feeling with a build quality that inspires confidence in performance and longevity. The difference between these cameras and other budget action cameras is quite substantial when they're held side by side. Both cameras are not waterproof without an external case, however, and they only have two buttons, relying almost entirely on the large touchscreen for navigation and changing settings. The user interface between the two cameras is very similar as well, just with different icons. Tap on an icon on screen to navigate through a list of options. Video or photo settings are in one menu, while camera settings are in another. I prefer the way the Plus has video settings as one list instead of tapping on a resolution and then going into a submenu for frame rate. The Pro, however, has a setting where you can change the menu into icons, which I highly prefer over lists. Now, with the two cameras being externally the same, identical included accessories, nav and user interface are close enough to call it the same. So what's the big idea? Why do I think that the Plus is a camera to skip and the Pro is the camera to get? Well, it has to do with what's inside the cameras. There's a substantial difference in internal hardware. The SJ8 Pro is based on a high-end processor from Ambarella, which supports real 4K at a true 60 frames per second, as well as real 4K 30 with image stabilization. The Plus, on the other hand, is based on a good but decidedly mid-range Novatech processor. It does a hell of a good job at 4K 30, but without image stabilization. The camera is advertised as supporting 4K 30 with EIS, and at that setting it has issues. I am not saying the Plus is a terrible camera, but if you bought it expecting true 4K 30 with EIS, you're in for a bit of a disappointment. If you buy the Pro with those same expectations, you're in for a treat. The skipping issue is not the only problem with the Plus's video. The way it processes color is odd from time to time. As another reviewer put it, using the SJ8 Plus gives you a free makeover because it emphasizes reds and pinks way too much at times. It makes it look like I'm wearing lipstick and I'm not wearing lipstick. I never really expect these issues to be fixed either. It looks like SJCam has all but abandoned development of the Plus, with the last firmware update for this camera being September 2018. The Pro, on the other hand, has had consistent firmware updates all the way to February 2019. So with that expectation clearly set, the SJ8 Plus can only reliably do 4K 30 without stabilization or lower resolutions. So what is the point in buying it? There are several other cheaper cameras like the Firefly 8 SE, which has better audio, better color, that same 4K 30, as well as 1080p 60 with image stabilization. There's even the Akaso V50 Pro, which is cheaper and has better real 4K 30 with stabilization, even though it does have slight trade-offs in other categories. If you are going to be spending the kind of money that the SJ8 Plus demands, it's worth spending that extra $30 for the Pro, which is a substantially better camera. With that being said, I'm not even going to go over these two cameras comparing them at 1080p and 2K, because if you're going to be using 1080p primarily, you're probably best served with a cheaper camera. I won't discourage you from buying the SJ8 Pro if you have the money. In the time that I've owned it, it has been a great camera and so far been worth every penny of its $200 price point. But I can't say the same for the Plus. Like, I'm baffled why this camera even exists. SJCam already has some great mid-range cameras like the SJ7 Star that takes 4K 30 without image stabilization, so the Plus is kind of in this position where it's not good enough to be real 4K 30 with EIS, and it's too expensive compared to some of the other cameras on the market. There is one thing that the SJ8 Plus does better than the Pro, however, and that is audio quality. The SJ8 Plus is louder and more clear, whereas the Pro kind of sounds like you're talking with a pillow in front of your face. But both of these cameras, I would suggest buying an external microphone if you're going to do any narration whatsoever, since the audio quality is quite susceptible to wind noise. Here's a comparison between the two cameras with both of these cams set at the default mic value. It was pretty windy, and I guess you'll see what I mean when you listen. Alright, so this is 4K 30 frames per second with the image stabilizer turned off. It makes sense to do EIS off when you've got the camera set still like this, so this is a little bit better quality comparison in terms of the actual resolution of the cameras. Alright, so this is 4K 30 frames per second with the image stabilizer turned off. It makes sense to do EIS off when you've got the camera set still like this, so this is a little bit better quality comparison in terms of the actual resolution of the cameras. Hey everyone, Dreki here, and this is a video comparison between the SJCam SJ8 Pro and the SJ8 Plus. I don't know if you can tell just how windy it is, but it might actually be hard to hear me with the wind. These cameras pick up a hell of a lot of wind noise off them. It's a video comparison between the SJCam SJ8 Pro and the SJ8 Plus. I don't know if you can tell just how windy it is, but it might actually be hard to hear me with the wind. These cameras pick up a hell of a lot of wind noise off them. In night and low light, the two cameras are comparable, aside from the skipping issue on the Plus. Still images, the same, aside from the weird color balance on the Plus. Seriously though, apart from the audio, the Pro is better in almost every way. Don't waste your time, money, and energy on the SJ8 Plus. Despite it being a fine camera, it's not a very good value. Hey everyone, I just wanted to make a note at the end here. Thank you so much for all the support you've given me over the years. I just broke 2,000 subscribers, and that is all thanks to you guys. Your thumbs up, your subs, your comments, everything that you do supports my channel, and I am so thankful for each and every one of you. As always, if you want to help me out, you can support my channel using the links in the description, leaving a comment, or even just watching and lurking. Anything you do, I really appreciate it.